All right, guys, so we are in Brooklyn, and that's because this borough voted for Mamdani more than any other one, and he just released New York City Preliminary Racial Equity Plan. Now, this is a 375-page document. I needed 2 separate paperclip things for it. I ran out of paper printing this. So I just want to take you through some of this really quick, and then we'll ask people about what's in here. The land New York City stands on today once belonged to the Lenape people, who were forcibly displaced through settler colonialism. So he started up the Racial Equity Plan. It's a 375-page document. Obviously, I'm not going to read it all to you, so I'm just going to do a poll today, which is if Mamdani said he needed to raise white people's taxes by 2% to close a wealth gap with where the median white New Yorker has $276,000 and the median black New Yorker has $18,000, would you support that initiative?
Yes.
Yes. And why so?
Why? Because I feel like they benefit more than we do.
White people do.
Minorities. Yeah, when it comes to the pay rate and all that stuff.
Yeah. And how do white people benefit more?
I feel like, honestly, I can't.
No. We want it. We're hearing from everyone today. Literally, I'm speaking to everybody, all sides. So
I'm just more based on opportunities.
Opportunities?
Yeah. More,
Yeah.
I guess we are judged from the first look.
Yeah.
As I can speak from experience.
Yeah.
So I think that's how.
It's definitely like an innovative thing because everyone's gone about taxes based off of purely wealth. This is something that would be more about race. And do you support that innovation, basically? Yeah.
I know what you're thinking. Taxing people based on their race is pretty racist, right? So I asked him. Welcome back to the Nate Friedman Show.
I speak to a lot of these right-wingers, and they say that what you're talking about is racism. They're saying you're racist against white people. What would be your response to them?
No, it's not racist. I just feel like everybody should be equal. It's not. I don't see anybody lesser than, but the difference is definitely obvious.
He says it's not racist to tax white people because he believes that everyone should be equal. But taxing people just because they're white is the very antithesis of equality. It's discrimination. And knowing that this document was a very serious effort to turn New York City into a socialist city, I decided to read it front to back so that you don't have to. And I can tell you that it is one of the most ludicrous things that I have ever read. The hypocrisy around the word equity in particular. Deep in this document, page 356 out of 375, it writes, when referring to a process, the term racial equity shall mean the closing of gaps in policy, practice, and allocation of city resources through the prioritization of access, opportunities, and resources to those people and communities who, based on or at least in part due to race. The prioritization of access is the opposite of equity. It's giving someone something just because of their skin color. Again, it's discrimination. In fact, the word prioritization is used 9 times in this document to encourage resource prioritization, funding prioritization, leverage prioritization, etc., etc. They actually took out all references to DEI to avoid losing federal funding from the Trump administration. The city law department actually flagged that. New York City taxpayers are paying not only to fund DEI, but the efforts to hide it, to Trump-proof this city. In this conversation, you'll hear about how New York City is already risking lives with DEI.
In the document, it talks about hiring people based off of race. So it talks about the NYPD and how they want to change the executive level of the NYPD and give it to people that more so reflect the demographics of New York City.
So we have the white and we have the black.
Yes.
They both qualify in the same level?
No, in this case, the white person would be more qualified.
Because he has a...
Let's just say he has more years of experience. So let's say the white police officer.
I don't really care about the color. I just think like why it has to be based on the color.
Yeah.
When somebody is more qualified. Yeah. The reason I want to tell you that is because we're from Colombia, and when we get new governments, they come and they bring their own people, and we have engineers running hospitals. They have no idea what they're doing.
Yeah.
But you know what? It's because this is what they brought them to do, and this is why they got the job, because they connected to the government. So I don't care about the race. I don't care about the color. Whoever gets the job is, you know what?
You're working, you pay your taxes, not living by the
And it's funny you asked that question, because I have a friend who runs a hospital, Northwell, and they're having a big issue because they tell them they had to hire some specific type of group of people, and he said like he has a big job. He said sometimes like I don't really think that the most qualified, but you have to. So I don't think that's right.
So he has quotas for the hospital that he's running that he must meet?
I'm not sure about that, but there's sort of like a
Pressure.
Right. Yeah. So.
Yeah. One of the things it mentions about the health department is that they want to uproot white supremacy. Do you feel that there's white supremacy in New York City?
Absolutely not. I've been here for 30 years and I never felt like I've been discriminated. I don't get a bigger job is because what we just said. I didn't go to a great school. I don't have a big college degree. But I'm sure if I had the opportunity to go to grade school and I happened to be very smart, I would have got a job.
30 years in New York City from Columbia and never felt discrimination. And now his friend is talking about pressure to hire non-whites at his hospital, and that pressure is now law. The health department's first goal is to create a formal reporting structure where every employee can report coworkers for bias, implicit and explicit, and interpersonal, institutional, and structural racism. And it's not optional. The target is 80% staff satisfaction with the system by end of 2026. That means that if you're a nurse or a doctor, your colleague can file a report on you, not for something you did, but for something they believe that you thought. And the city is going to measure whether enough people are reporting their white coworkers. And it doesn't stop at reporting. On page 295, the plan says the civil service system, the merit-based testing that's supposed to treat everyone the same, has had, and I'm quoting, an adverse impact on enhancing representation in various job titles. They're saying the equal test is the problem, that merit-based ends up with hiring too many white people. So what replaces it? On page 211, the Office of Technology and Innovation has a target that 50% of all user research participants must self-identify as people of color. Other than the fact that that's pure discrimination, it's also lunacy using the phrase self-identify as people of color. And this is across the board. On page 267, the FDNY will have to analyze ambulance response times by neighborhood demographics and identify opportunities for resource allocation. That's your ambulance being evaluated not just by how fast it gets there, but by the racial makeup of the zip code that you're in. This man's friend running a hospital isn't imagining things. He's being forced to endanger the lives of his patients. Now remember this guy, because this interview will take an unexpected turn that we'll come back to later in this episode. And now I'm just going to ask flat out again if we should just raise taxes on white people by 2%.
If Mamdani needed to raise white people's taxes by 2% to close a wealth gap where the median white New Yorker has $276,000 and the median black New Yorker has $18,000, would you support that initiative?
Wait, why is he taxing them?
He's inside the racial equity plan. He's talking about a reallocation of resources, and many people are discussing this as a tax because of an allocation of resources. So we thought we would just simplify the question because it's so long. It's 375 pages. So yeah.
Jesus. Okay. Well, I guess I don't really know too much. I'm not, But I guess I'll put my 2 cents in from what I'm gathering right now.
Yes.
If I was a white person with $260,000, I don't think I would want to get taxed. I'd be like, damn, that's my money.
Sure.
But in this day and age, sometimes it's deserved for certain people.
Yeah.
But shout out to all my wealthy white people out there who are down with it and are cool. If you lose a few bucks, it's okay. We'll still have a good time. We'll hang out. We're friends. If the money goes to me, well, then I'll share the wealth back too.
Sure.
The rich get rich and the poor get poor. So, what, I guess why not? Reparations.
Yeah. Sure.
People in my generation didn't just start thinking this way out of the blue. It was rhetoric pushed by far-left politicians to divide us and seize control of the Democrat Party. You don't have to look any further than Mamdani's racial equity plan to explain why someone my age has to think for a while about a white people tax and then go, why not? Reparations. And this official government document, page 14, it uses the term settler colonialism as an official government section heading. It cites the killing of George Floyd as the explicit trigger for this equity plan, stating that this has all led us to the creation of this moment, right here, right now. Operationalize racial equity into every aspect of city life. That sentence alone is just an ad for Florida. The plan credits the BLM movement with galvanizing a new generation of activists who continue to demand the dismantling of all forms of systematic racism that pervade every aspect of life in New York City. Look how obsessed they are with referencing every aspect of life. That it's not just about city jobs, but everything in the city. And them crediting BLM, whose protests in 2020 caused an estimated $2 billion in property damage, businesses burned, homes destroyed, and the co-founder, Patrice Cullors, used $6 million in donor funds to buy personal real estate, including a $1.4 million house in Topanga Canyon. That is the movement this government document credits as its inspiration. Then it reaches back hundreds of years. Page 16, in Kings County alone, close to 75% of the free white population enslaved people. That was the 1700s. Slavery was happening virtually everywhere on Earth, and New York passed one of the earliest abolition laws in the world in 1799. But this document makes no mention of that. Page 16, Seneca Village was destroyed through eminent domain in the 1850s to make way for Central Park, displacing free black communities in Upper Manhattan. That happened 170 years ago, and Central Park became one of the greatest public places on Earth, used by every race every day. But in this document, it's evidence of harm that justifies race-based policy in 2026. That is the justification. Events from the 1700s and 1850s. A movement funded by someone who bought herself a mansion with donor money, and from that, New York City wrote 375 pages telling 45 agencies how to allocate $110 billion a year by race, and then called it equity. Now I'm going to ask her if she thinks that Mamdani can accomplish what he set out to do, and then throughout the rest of this episode, I'll explain how they plan to implement exactly what is in this document.
What do you think is the chance that Mamdani will tax incomes over $1 million? What do you think the chance of that is?
That seems like big.
What do you think?
What are the chances? Like, do I give a percentage?
Yeah.
I'll give it 60% chance. I think that's generous, no shade.
Unfortunately, it's only 17%.
That makes so much more sense.
Does it?
Like, yeah, I was
And
like, that seems
how
ambitious.
come?
I'm just saying 60 because I'm being hopeful, manifestation.
Yeah, sure.
But like that one just doesn't seem too reasonable. Like, I just doubt that one's gonna happen for him.
Well, here's something that might be more reasonable. What do you think the chances that he freezes the rent
Freezes the rent.
this year? Yeah.
What does that mean?
Like that the rent can't be increased for people.
Oh, that's so sick. Oh my God, please. Oh my God, you know what? I'm gonna give it 65. Because, good things sometimes, like, don't always happen. So
you know
gotta
what?
keep it low.
It's a 79% chance that he does it this year. Pretty good.
Most of the people who clicked yes are probably also just hopeful like me.
These are actually people putting money down, so it's like, it's more
They're
real.
betting?
Yeah.
Oh my God, I love to gamble. I totally would do this. What app is this?
Okay, it's called Kalshi.
Oh, Kalshi. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I know Kalshi.
Okay. One more for you.
Okay.
What chance is there that Mamdani will raise the minimum wage to $30 before 2027?
Oh, that's like not gonna happen. I'll give it like a 30% chance, but like that's everything.
It's only a 10% chance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
30%
Why do you think
hopeful.
that? Why do you think that it's so low?
I think it's so low because I think people who are betting on this are actually real with themselves. So period. I agree with these answers and these ratings.
No, sure, yeah.
What was that one again?
So that one was, will Mamdani raise the minimum wage to $30 before 2027?
Yeah, 30. That just like doesn't really happen for,
Yeah.
These minimum wage workers don't make shit. Sorry about it. I'm a minimum wage worker. I don't make shit. I'm gonna make more shit after this.
She's right. $30 minimum wage is probably not happening. He already walked back free buses. And those were campaign promises, but they required the state legislature and they require funding that he doesn't control. This racial equity plan is different. This plan is actually already law. In November 2022, New Yorkers voted to amend the city charter, which is the city's constitution. Those amendments require the mayor to produce a racial equity plan every 2 years, tied directly to the city budget. The Commission on Racial Equity already sued the last mayor for not releasing it on time. And unlike the $30 minimum wage, he doesn't need the state legislature. The charter gives him the authority to affect the city's agencies through executive action. 45 agencies, $110 billion a year, 300,000 city employees, all under his control. Now, they'll tell you that this plan is in a public comment period, and that's technically true, but don't let that fool you. The law that mandates this plan has already passed. The comment period is about the details, not whether or not it happens. Nobody is voting yes or no. The public submits feedback and the mayor's office decides what to keep, and then the final plan gets locked into the budget. No city council vote, no referendum, and on page 10, city agencies will be expected to implement that final plan and use it to guide policy, operations, and accountability across government. So what does this implementation actually look like? Page 75, $25 billion in race and gender targeted contract awards by the fiscal year 2026. Page 86, $18 million to cancel $2 billion in medical debt, and 111-to-1 leverage ratio, the largest municipal initiative of its kind. Page 101, the city's Economic Development Corporation made an intentional decision to refrain from using AI assessment tools and resume reviews, application screenings, or interviews listed right under their goal to mirror the city's racial demographics in hiring. Page 205, $321 million in federal grants framed around enhancing access for communities of color. Page 254, by 2034, 100% of department programs must pass the racial equity rubric, a rubric co-designed with incarcerated people. Page 256, all probation staff must complete annual racial equity and cultural competency training, including modules on LGBTQ plus affirming supervision. Page 260, employees can report coworkers for structural racism within their own agency, and that data is used to identify offices or boroughs with outlier violation rates that may indicate inequitable application of supervision. Page 287, the NYPD must leverage virtual reality technology to deepen recruits' understanding of apparent racial profiling interactions with law enforcement from the perspective of a person of color. Page 368, reduce the number of people of all ages in jail, prison, or court monitoring for criminal offenses, and transform jails into rehabilitation centers. And this isn't theoretical. Mamdani went to Rikers Island during Ramadan, prayed with the inmates, and broke fast with them, and called it one of the most meaningful evenings I've had as mayor. He's pledged to shut Rikers down entirely. The day after he released his equity plan, he opened a therapeutic housing unit in Bellevue Hospital to start moving inmates off the island, calling it the first step in closing Rikers once and for all. He can't get you the $30 an hour, he can't get you the free buses, but he can restructure how 45 agencies spend $110 billion a year by race. And that's exactly what this document does. Now remember these guys. Well, I asked them about some of these implementations, one of them being the massive funding coming to public housing. And this is a perspective you won't hear on legacy media.
One thing is about public housing. So I do want to get this right, so just give me a moment, because there's a lot of statistics in here, and look, a lot of people,
You're not going to get me in trouble, right?
No. So the plan says New York City public housing is 90% Black or Hispanic, with a median household income of $17,000, and that Congress has created an $80 billion capital shortfall in funding, meaning that there needs to be $80 billion, they're saying. Would you support raising your taxes to fund that gap?
Absolutely not. And I'll tell you why. I'm a runner, and there's nothing I hate most that when I had to go through the projects at 5:30 in the morning and I see people healthier, taller than me, smoking weed at 5:30 in the morning. Right. That should be for people who really need help. This is sort of like a system or like a scam that people just stay there for generations. And I had to take half of my taxes to support that. I don't think so. If you tell me there's an older lady, there's somebody who just lost her husband, that has 3 kids and needs help, absolutely that. But there's some sort of scam there that I don't support.
So, big guy, 50 and over, big guy, heavy, strong, and the supermarket pay for an ATA car, wherever, for free.
Yeah.
For free for what? Did you already for work? I'm working all my life.
$80 manicure. Like what? It's not like they can afford a house.
Yeah.
So there's some sort of scam that I
$40 for haircut.
We work very hard, and half of my taxes go for that. No.
Yeah.
Taxes is for the really people.
Yeah. Who needs?
So this plan, people will look at it and they will say, well, this plan is to help you. It's saying to take away all the inequality in race. But you're basically saying that doesn't exist.
I'm going to answer this with one question.
Yeah.
As an immigrant, 30 years here, I have never taken any help from the government. I've been working since I moved here. White people born and raised here had to get help. Huh? Mm-hmm. Why they can find a job the way that I did? Yeah. Why they can work? Why? That's something. I'm a Democrat, but there's something that I hate about that. In some point, everything became, and with all your respect, that happened a lot with the younger generation. Yeah. Everything has to be free. I want free education. I want free. I want, and Mamdani I think he's fun. He has a beautiful smile. But you know what?
No,
he promised free
before.
transportation.
Yeah.
Free,
Before.
why it has to be free?
The Democrat Party wasn't always this way, but now they have a socialism problem. This racial equity plan is nothing but a vessel to instill socialism into the most capitalist city in the world. And who is the team behind it? Well, you've of course got Mamdani, who considers the NYPD racist and therefore wants to defund them. New York City's first chief equity officer is Afua Atta Minash. She ran Mamdani's general election campaign before he appointed her to lead the office that wrote this plan. Her X account was deactivated the same day as her appointment. The internet is forever, so we know that she posted, quote, "tax them to the white meat," from December 2021, which is a call to tax white people to the bone. And now, on an official government site, she's listed as the city's moral architect. Then there's Linda Tagani, the chair of New York City's Commission on Racial Equity. She posted a call for genocide saying "from the river to the sea," and she shared her time from a Day of Rage rally where demonstrators chanted "death to Israel" and "death to America." She is a member of the Malcolm X grassroots movement, an organization that openly states that the root cause of their people's oppression is white people, and that they will tackle this problem by any means necessary. And then there's the person in charge of the staffing who quickly resigned after social media posts resurfaced of her calling a subway line the Jew train, referencing money-hungry Jews. And then finally they elected the first ever deputy mayor for economic justice, Deputy Mayor Julie Su, a completely made-up position where she writes that there is no economic justice without racial equity. Now next up, I ran into the next generation who shared his thoughts on reparations. I did try to talk to some of our newer New Yorkers, but no such luck.
YouTube video I'm working on. Can I ask you a question for... What's that?
I don't want to be in the video.
Okay, sure. If Mamdani said he needed to raise white people's taxes by 2% to close that wealth gap, would you support that?
Possibly.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's a lot of factors involved, but
Yeah.
I mean, that's a big gap, and I mean, it's generations old, so it's going to
Yeah.
take more than just one policy
Yeah.
to change that.
So do you feel that we need some reparations?
I think that's a question not for me.
Well, we're asking everybody.
Hypothetically, it could be
Yeah.
helpful, but it has to be done the right way and
Yeah.
involve all the different communities.
And what would be the right way to do it? Or an example of one would be?
Oh, I don't know.
Let's spitball. You know what I mean? Like, is it through public housing? Is it through, I don't know, whatever.
I would say things like public housing would be a good start.
Mhm.
I mean, housing in the city is way too expensive for everybody,
Mm-hmm.
let alone people that don't have any money.
Yeah.
And I mean, all these rich, fancy people in their skyscrapers,
Yeah.
they can afford
Yeah.
to help other people.
Yeah. Do you feel like, because I know I've interviewed some of these folks in the skyscrapers, and they say that we're already being taxed. Almost half of our money is going to the government. They don't want to be taxed anymore. What would be your response to that?
I would say you probably have more than enough money to spend, so I don't.
Yeah.
I think they'll be all right.
Yeah. Okay, so obviously, like, so you're okay, if it was just straight up, if it was 2% tax on white people in New York City, would you still support Mamdani?
I would say, I don't think people would like that, just targeting one specific ethnicity.
Mhm.
I don't think it would fly.
Yeah.
But I think there are ways to do it, and I would support that.
Our final interview is with this woman who surprised me after fleeing socialism. After the interview, I'll expose what's happened with things like this racial equity plan when it's tried in other cities.
Hi, can I ask you a question for a YouTube video I'm working on? Is that cool?
Okay. But
That's fine. All right, where are you from? From
I'm
Russia?
from New York, but
Yeah.
yes, but I'm from Kazakhstan. I
Oh, from
know
Kazakhstan.
Russian,
Yeah, my dad's Russian, so I recognize the accent.
Oh,
Kind of.
great.
Yeah. So you're from? So you've lived in New York for a while?
Yes, more than 3 years.
Okay, cool. All right, so we're asking people what they think of Mamdani's first 100 days. What are your thoughts on him?
I love it.
You love him?
Yeah.
And what makes you love Mamdani?
That he's down to earth, like, you know.
Yeah.
I love. So I have kids. So when
Yeah.
you know, the snow day, when he announced the snow day,
Yeah.
he's just like it was a video that he calls to one girl.
Yes. I remember this
so
viral
like-
video.
Oh yes,
Yes.
it's viral video, and
Yeah.
it's like great. It's
Yeah.
like you feel that you are connected with.
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
with him.
And what do you feel about his socialist ideas? like freezing the rent and raising the minimum wage and stuff like that. Are you supportive of those initiatives?
Could you repeat that?
Are you supportive of a socialist So he's socialist. Are you supportive of socialism?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah. It's like to help people. But about the rent, yes. The rent is so high.
Sure. Yes.
Yeah. So
I know some people would be wondering. You're from Kazakhstan. It's a former Soviet Union, right? Socialism, communism didn't go too well for the Soviet Union. What makes you think it will go differently this time?
I think they put you in a box. I think we could do socialism, but with the feeling of freedom.
Right. Okay. So you don't feel that he's really socialist, in other words?
Yes.
Okay. Would you support raising taxes on white people?
I don't think so, because for example, I'm a white person, but I'm a single mom with 2 kids. It's I think it's not fair.
She says with our version of socialism that we won't be put in a box. However, this racial equity plan puts people in boxes with the label being their race. Now let's look at the bigger picture. This has been tried before. Seattle launched the country's first municipal race and social justice initiative back in 2004. After roughly 20 years, the city's own data and independent analysis showed that large racial gaps in income have persisted. A federal lawsuit, Dimerd v. City of Seattle, now on its appeal in the Ninth Circuit, challenges whether social justice initiative-inspired workplaces have created a racially hostile work environment for a white city employee. The DOJ has actually filed an amicus brief in support of the plaintiff. Portland adopted racial equity plans in 2016 and then just let them expire in 2021 because Portland's own Office of Equity admitted that the plans were exhaustive and unrealistic, with goals that felt unachievable. The 2020 police budget cut of $15 million was reversed in 2022, and then the police hit a record budget of $249 million. And by 2025, the mayor had rolled back 75 city programs to protect $350 million in federal grants from Trump's executive orders. And San Francisco spent 3 years and produced a 400-page reparations report recommending $5 million per person. What actually passed in December 2025 was a legal fund with no money in it. The mayor signed it quietly 2 days before Christmas without a press release. And Minneapolis voted in November 2021 on a charter amendment, remember question 2, that would have replaced its police department with a new Department of Public Safety. Thankfully, it was defeated 56 to 44%, with support notably lower among black voters than among white voters. By 2023, the city had reversed earlier cuts and was budgeting nearly $200 million a year for its police department. However, Mamdani thinks that he can make it all happen because he's different, and maybe he thinks the issue is that these mayors just weren't racist enough. Thank you for watching this episode of The Nate Friedman Show. If you want to support our security fund, check out natefriedmanshow.com. And if you want to support the show just in general, check out Kalshi and sign up with code NATE25 to get $25 toward your first prediction. If you want to see the vigil that I crashed for Khomeini in New York City, the video's on your screen right now, and I'll see you there.